Hey friends, let's talk about reading goals for 2024. Instead of doing a 24 books to read in 2024, I'm going to make myself a list of goals based on a few different categories. I did this last year and it worked well for me. I think it's a good way to prioritize some of my reading goals. I'm going to go over the books in each space from last year and then the ones I'm putting on for this year. So we can see if this actually worked for me last year and I'm going to make it work better this year. So my first category was book series where I only have one book left. This was things like duologies and series that I am almost finished with, but for whatever reason just have not picked up the last book. I wish I could say that I had done better with this first category, but I really didn't. There were 5 books on this list and I read 2 of them. I did finish The Rose and the Dagger. This was a duology that I definitely should have finished sooner because I feel like I probably would have liked it better. And then I also completed 5 Dark Fates, which is a series that I really enjoyed. Did not like the last book, but the first book is still one that I would happily go back and reread. So the other 3 books I'm just going to put back on this list, which means number 1 is Rise. This is about 3 illegitimate heirs that get called because the legitimate heir has died. So the king's got to pick one of them. And there are so many secrets in this book. I think I definitely would have picked this up, except for it's hard to get. My library doesn't have it. Libro FM doesn't have it. All the places I normally go don't have it, which means I'd have to buy it, and there are just other books that I wanted to buy more. So gonna find a way to get this book this year. The next one is The Beauty of Darkness. The first book in this, I think, is The Kiss of Deception. I loved The Kiss of Deception when I read it, and I've reread it a few times. Hated book 2. So I'm torn between, is this a series that's going to come back for book 3, or should I just keep book 1 and be happy with that? But I'm going to try book 3 so I know for sure, and we can put this on my completed list. All right, this third one, I just really don't have an excuse because I've loved every book in this series. I just keep prioritizing other things first. So that is The Mysterious Benedict Society, and the last one is The Age of Riddles. This is about a group of genius orphans who all get adopted by a benefactor that wants them to solve mysteries for him and help him save the world. And they've all been great. It's really good found family. It's really good middle grade if you're looking for some. Highly recommend this. I just need to read the last book in the series. So we do need to add 2 more, just to make it 5 total. I read The Bells within the last year or 2, and it's a duology, the second one being The Everlasting Rose. This is one I had considered just not finishing. I enjoyed book 1, but wasn't super in love with it. However, I think it would be good to at least try book 2 since it is a duology. I think it could be worth completing. I feel like duologies, I always have that sense of like, it's only 2 books. The last one is another duology that I am much more excited about, and that is A Magic Steeped in Poison. I don't remember what book 2 is called, but I bought this book when it came out because it had a beautiful cover. It was a duology, and I knew book 2 in the duology already had a release date. So I was like, I can finish this. It'll be perfect, start to finish, super easy, super quick. I enjoyed book 1. I don't think it was like one of my top books, but it was still a very enjoyable read. I loved the magic system. Never bought book 2. 2024, this is going to be on the list for sure. Okay, my next category was just make progress. These are big series that maybe I won't finish. There's not 1 book left, but I do need to make progress. And I did make progress in 4 out of the 5 last year. Probably just not enough progress. So some of them, again, will be transferring. For example, the first one is Guards. I read 2 books last year. I think I'm on book 6. 5 or 6. So it's on this list again. And if I finish Guards, I can go straight into the Death series in Discworld. I love these. I think they're super fun reads. I think as a reader, I just like time between each book in a series. What I need to focus on is finding the right balance of time. So it's not too short a turnaround. I tend to lose interest in a story quicker if I go back to back. I like to change things up, but I don't want to wait too long. I don't think that's an issue with any of these because I do enjoy all of these. Still needs to make progress. Last year I had on the list Mistborn Era 1, which I did complete last year. So this year I'm just putting Cosmere, Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. I do have a reading order list for that, that I've gotten off of a few different booktube videos that I've seen. I just need to keep chugging away in that Cosmere because I love those books and it's such a good fantasy world space to be in. My Achilles heel at the moment, Wheel of Time. I read 2 books in Wheel of Time and I think I have 4 left. 4 left. I am so close. Will I read all 4 this year? Ideally, yeah. But I read 2 last year. If I can read 2 again this year, I think I'd be a happy gal. Okay, Chronicles of the Black Company was on this list last year. And similar to one of the other ones I've talked about, it's just hard to get. My library does not offer the next one, and neither does Libro FM. I don't own it. So there have been other books that I've just been prioritizing buying ahead of this. So I'm going to have to buy, they come in like sets of 3. So I could buy the next trilogy set in that series and continue reading. It's a really good grimdark series. The first 3 set of books was amazing. So I know I'm going to enjoy it. I've just been struggling to prioritize the next arc in this. Okay, the last one I had Shadow of the Fox on this list, and I did make progress in that. I think I still have 1 book left, but I'm going to switch and add The Expanse. I've listened to book 1 and 2 through Libro FM, and so I need to keep working because that is a giant series, and I feel like I have a few sci-fi series that I don't want to get mixed up or take too long to get through. I feel like that's one where I need to keep working and not take like a few years in between each book, if that makes sense, which I do sometimes. That doesn't feel like a series that's going to work for. I'm pretty proud of myself with this next category because it was classics and I read all 5. I read 4.5. I had Jonathan Livingston Seagull, In Cold Blood, Good Omens, and Another Country, which I read all the way through. I did start Grapes of Wrath and not finish it, but I did start it. And I don't think it's a hard DNF, it's a soft DNF. I just kind of got to the end of that month and wanted to prioritize my next month's TBR, and I kept telling myself, if I finish all the books on this TBR, I'll go back and finish Grapes of Wrath. But I had got it on my Kindle through my library, and by the time I got back to it, that my time with it had expired, so I haven't checked it out again. This time for classics, I'm going to prioritize Gulliver's Travels because I feel like that could be a good read. I've heard mixed things about it, but it just sounds so fun. Another big chunky one that I just want to see, is it for me or not, is Buddenbrooks. This was written in 1901, so throwback. And it has to do with kind of the rise and fall of a family through like politics, family relationships. It does not sound like something I would enjoy, but every once in a while, these classics really surprise me. They don't fit my typical genre, but they still leave an impact, and I need to know if this is going to be one of them. For book number 3, I have Heidi, classic children's literature that I somehow just never read. I think it'll be an easy way to get one of my priority classics off my list. I think it'll be enjoyable, and there are some beautiful editions of this book that if I like it, I could put it on my shelf. Okay, for classic number 4, I have Lolita. I feel like some people that I watched that love classics love Lolita. I don't know much about it. What I know is that it may be about a touchy subject, but people still seem to enjoy it. So I'm interested. I'm intrigued. And lastly, number 5, I just have Shakespeare. I read a lot of no fear Shakespeare to help me understand Shakespeare since I'm out of school and don't have a teacher to kind of guide me through this. And I just want to keep that up because I didn't read much in the way of those this last year. 2 more categories. I have a series I want to start. The reality is I don't need this category because my problem is that I start series that I don't finish. But I also have a problem of having books on my shelf for too long, and some of them are the first book in a series. So again, I had 5 on this list last year, and I have read all 5. One I did just finish this month in January. I started Renegades, Red Rising, We Hunt the Flame, The Blade Itself, and this month I read Blood Heir. So those were my 5 from last year. This year, one of the books that has been on my shelf and on several TBRs is Nemesis. I don't even remember much about this, but it needs to either be read or it needs to be read so I can decide if it's staying on these shelves or if I just waited too long. The other 4 that I have are much more recent books that I've gotten, and that is Children of Time. I got this as a Christmas present maybe 3 years ago, and feel a little bad that I haven't picked it up. I know people love it. I've heard book 2 is maybe not as strong, but book 1 seems to be a resounding success. So let's get this going. I also have The Bear and the Nightingale, which I picked up when it first came out. Love the cover, love the concept. Haven't read it. Don't know why. Three Body Problem, also heard good things about. I lean more towards fantasy than sci-fi, and so this was something I kept putting off for other things, and then we just got to a point where it's been a few years and I still haven't picked it up. The last one is Foundryside, which I was very excited to pick up when I got it, but I bought it with a bunch of other books and I read those other books first, and now here we are with it still on my shelf. So these are the ones I want to start this year, and hopefully I will be good about starting and continuing. And that's a whole different category, right? The last category I have was just kind of random reading goals. Last year I wanted to finish Priory of the Orange Tree because it was a giant book that I was buddy reading. I did complete that goal. I ended up DNFing the book, but it's so beautiful, I'm gonna keep it on my shelf. I also wanted to read a Warhammer book, which I have not done, so that will be on this year's goal. I wanted to prioritize an author, and that was Talia Hibbert, which I read a few of hers. I think I read 3 in this last year. I wanted to pre-order books, which I did not do at all. And I wanted to read an arc that someone had requested I review, which was Vevensong, which I did end up reading and reviewing. So this year I want to pre-order books. I'll try. I want to pick up a Warhammer book because my boyfriend loves to read Warhammer books. He's very much into that hobby and painting miniatures, and every other book he listens to is a Horus Heresy book, so I need to try them out. I want to prioritize a new author this year, and that is T. Kingfisher. I read 2 books by her and really enjoyed both of them, so I want to keep kind of digging back. I do want to re-pick up Grapes of Wrath, so that's not on my classics. I think it's a little bit of a lighter goal to pick it back up. I've liked other books I've read by this author, so I feel like I should give it another chance. But yeah, it's going on this random, I don't know why. That's just where it ended up. But I do want to pick up Grapes of Wrath and give it another go. And finally, I want to actually read some 2024 releases. I am not good at picking up new releases because I do have so many books that I want to read and series I want to finish. And so I usually get to a book about 2 to 3 years behind everybody else, and I would love to be part of the hype this time. I did pick up a few this last year. I've been keeping up with Lore Olympus, and I read Fourth Wing, so I'm not entirely behind. So those are my goals for this 2024 year. I would love to know what your goals are, if you have any books that you are prioritizing. If you have a 24 books to read in 2024 video, let me know. And I will see y'all later. Bye, friends.